Welcome to 2020's virtual KLC. Today we're going to talk to you about organizing and planning a large event. My name is Jenny White, and this is my 30th year on the camp staff. I've been a part of creating events at camp for those 30 years, plus my 2 years of being a camper. And today I'm presenting with my friend Carol, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Carol Luce, and this is my 33rd year on staff. And I was a camper for 4 years before that, and I was always on course. And I've been on the evening and final general session creative period for all of those 33 years. Crazy, huh?
So as we talk about this today, we are going to focus on the evening and final general session group that we would typically have at camp. And for those who have never been to camp, we break the campers up randomly into these different divisions to help create these events at camp, including campfire, banquet, evening and final general session, chorus, all these different activities for campers to get an idea of what it's like to put on an event for a large group of people. We have a camp attendance of 275 campers plus 30 to 35 staff. That's a big event when you look at planning something in a short amount of time. There's valuable lessons that we learn throughout the week, limited resources, working with people that we may have never met before, great ideas that you can use back in your clubs at home. That gives you a sense of ownership about the event that you're planning. So we're going to go over those tonight with you and discuss some highs and lows, some things that we've learned from trial and error over the years. Carol mentioned 33 years and I'm at 30, so there's a lot of learning curve that we've had over the years. So as we look at discussing this with you tonight, I wanted you to see what it would look like when you see the outline that should be on the website for you tonight. It'll say organizing and planning a large event, creative period lessons. And that's what we just discussed. Again, it's presented by Carol and I, and there is an outline for you guys to follow along with. So we're going to jump right into it. And so here we are again, organizing and planning a large event. So Carol, let's talk about the things that we're going to learn as we step the participants that are watching through this.
As you go to plan a program for a large amount of people, there's things you have to think about, and things you need to plan for. And one is for time management. As we know, if we had as much time as we wanted, it would be awesome, wouldn't it? But then things would probably never happen because there's really probably never enough time to do anything. So we want to make sure what we learn at camp is that we can do really awesome things in short amount of times. And to be able to do that requires a lot of organizational skills and organizational skills of how you're going to organize your project, your people, your supplies. How are you going to get all that done? And no one person can do any of that and all of that. So that's why it's very important to have teams. Because as they say, many hands make light work. It's the same thing when you're presenting a program. And camp is an awesome example of that. And it also, so to be able to do that, you have to divide people up. You have lots of people. So you're going to have team leaders, right? Kind of in your little groups, and that's how you're going to develop your organizational skills. And just like you guys have learned about true colors, and you know who is the best one to make the list and who's the best one to motivate your team and things like that, that is a good time to use this knowledge and making sure that your leaders are pulled out to do the right jobs that we need to do. And you'll see that we'll discover lots of hidden talents, which is way fun to watch that happen. You will provide, and you will also see that you will find your own hidden talents, and that's very cool too. And then the neatest thing about this is after the whole project is done, you and your members can all sit back and look, we did this. We can own this. And what a cool thing that is. So, Jenny, next.
Well, I agree, Carol, that when you complete a project of this magnitude that we're going to kind of step through here in a minute, that sense of ownership, it becomes special and memorable for yourself as well as all those who get to be included in the activity. So I think that's a real good thing to keep in mind. And those that are getting ready to host regional and unit conferences over the next school year, whatever that might look like with social distancing and virtual meetings, maybe more like this, it's something to keep in mind of what you need to go through to make sure you have in place to make that event successful. So I think it's a very good thing that we're talking about this and letting everybody who's watching it know there's options out there to help step through. So thank you for going through that, Carol. So let's just get right into the meat of it. And step one is always to identify an activity or a program that you want to plan for your club. There's different things that clubs might want to organize, whether it's something in the fall with the nursing homes and pumpkin carving. That doesn't just happen. Pumpkins don't show up like they did on Cinderella. You know, somebody needs to be a part of that and help organize that. So as we look through here, let's choose an activity that we should concentrate on, Carol, that we're going to plan as we step through this. So what should we name our plan or our activity?
I think a good thing, you're always looking for things to do the first part of the year when things get kind of slow. So that might be a great time to have a winter, you know, the food pantries get low. I'm just thinking maybe we could do something like that. We could do a program that the admissions would be to bring a food project. I mean, it'd be a food you know, thing, staple with them.
Okay, that sounds great. So as we're going through this, we are going to concentrate on planning a winter activity to increase the, I'm writing notes, increase the food pantries in our local areas. Great idea. All right, so we've identified our activity and our program that we would like to plan for our club. Now it's time to brainstorm ideas. I think as we look at brainstorming, there's different ways to get your club members involved in the brainstorming process. You always want to give your club members, board members, all those the opportunity to share their ideas. Everything we do for a reason, and including the others in the planning helps them to gain that ownership of the activity. Brainstorming technique that works good for you, Carol, when you're planning an activity. Can you give an example?
I am not a huge I mean, I don't really like to talk in a huge group of people. So it's easier for me to talk in a small group of people. So I find that to be a very effective way to get people to be not intimidated to share their ideas. And so even if you can break up your group into about, you know, 4 or 5 people in a group, and then have someone designated as the secretary to write down the ideas, and then they can, because no idea is a dumb idea. And the great part about brainstorming is that you come up with lots of different ideas, and you can, as a group, as a large group, you can pick and choose what you want from all those ideas. And then sooner or later, you have something that has evolved from all of those ideas that were shared.
Absolutely. And the great part about brainstorming is there are no wrong answers. You know, you throw out an idea and it gets written down, it might become incorporated, like you said, with somebody else's idea to give more options for that activity. Um, I like your thoughts about breaking down into the groups of 4 to 5. I'm thinking of clubs and maybe not having all seniors group up together and come up with ideas, but if you
Oh,
can break that down,
good point.
You know, a senior, a junior, a sophomore, and a freshman into a group, and that will help those freshmen maybe throw out ideas better, you know, having that leadership from those higher up in the grades. It just a thought for how to
Yeah,
break up
no,
in the groups.
that's a great idea. It's all about training the young people that are going to be sooner or later, they will be the juniors and seniors. So that's a great idea.
Absolutely. I think brainstorming brings out a lot of individuality and creativeness that is bottled up inside of us that just gets thrown out at the opportune time to be documented and be a part of the great activity. All right, so we've brainstormed our ideas. What should we brainstorm our ideas for our winter activity, Carol? We've already done a food pantry.
Oh, an idea I have is you want to make it fun so people will come to it and that they'll look forward to coming. And so you could even have something that would involve the adults in your school or in your the parents, or that's just brainstorming ideas. So, you know, get to something like that, because as a mother of teenage children, it's best if you, sometimes I like to be included in things so I know what's going on. So, you know, that's never a bad idea to get people, depends on how large your group is, how large your camp club, how large your KY club is. If they are only 20 members, maybe you need to invite some adults to make it a larger group, if that's what you're going for. If you come from a club, a 6-day school, and you have 200 kids in your club, maybe you don't want to invite your adults. I don't know, things to think about.
It is something to consider, absolutely. And we're going to go through some more slides here, and maybe we can narrow down our ideas from that. But that kind of gives those watching a sense of things to do to brainstorm for that success for their activities. So now we're going to go through the steps that we've identified, and this is in no way, shape, or form exactly how it needs to happen. It's just what's proven successful for us in the past. Gives you something to go by for planning and organizing your own event. So 3A is identifying event coordinator. This person works closely with the committee members that we talked about breaking down into, and also kind of acts as a liaison between your sponsor, the club president, maybe your sponsor gives the opportunity for you to contact, or the event coordinator to set up with the school administration. So there's different hats that could fall under this event coordinator. So Carol, may I nominate you to be our event coordinator as we step through this process?
I would love to do that.
Okay, I appreciate you accepting that challenge. All right, so we've identified an event coordinator. Now to schedule the event. What's some hints on scheduling events, Carol, that you can think of from our club days?
Awesome. Scheduling an event, thank you, Jenny, is always exciting and can be challenging because you have to think about lots of other things that are happening. And right now, in this virtual world that we're living in, everyone's schedule looks a little different. And we in Kansas don't even know what the start of school is going to look like, let alone what January is going to look like. So as KY members, you guys are flexible and you are able to withstand, you're strong. And so scheduling an event, you might want to offer several different times, several different possibilities, timing, weekend, evenings, break time, school time, all kinds of things like that. So when you schedule the event, that's always something to think about, and know that it's best not to come up with a certain plan that's set in stone before you've checked with your sponsor, your administrator, your school board, all of those things that you need to check on first.
That's a great point, Carol, because me as an employee, I might want to schedule something and I've still need to confirm that with my boss to get the approval for it. So it's a life lesson that you learn through KAY that you'll use throughout your life when it comes to scheduling an event, whether it's a doctor's appointment or anything like that. It's a great thing to get instilled in your mind to check with all those involved.
Absolutely.
All right, so Carol, let's set a date for our event for our collecting food for the food pantries. I'm looking at my calendar and I'm thinking maybe something closer to around the Thanksgiving time.
Oh, you want to do Thanksgiving? Sure, we can do
Or would you like to go further?
Oh, I was thinking more around Valentine's time. But
oh, great. Valentine's Day falls on a Sunday this year.
Oh.
So we could share our love for food.
And I do love food. That is true.
I do too. All right, so let's look at February 2021 for our dates. And we'll set a time as it gets closer.
Okay.
All right, and our next item is the objective of the event, which I think we've already discussed, to help to increase the food pantries at the time of the year as things have kind of thinned out after the holidays and those tough winter months.
Right.
So that
Jenny,
is our...
We could use the theme, sorry for interrupting, but we could use the theme of sharing the love for our community, right? And tying it into Valentine's Day, and that might work.
Absolutely, and then that would fall into a community service project for our club.
Yeah.
All right, I'm writing fast, trying to write down all these ideas.
Thank you for being our secretary.
Absolutely. Thank you for being our event coordinator. All right, we have our objective, we have our timeline, and we have our theme. Look at you, Carol, you're such a planner. All right, we are sharing the love for our community. Carol, we can't do this all on our own.
No, Jenny, I think we might need some more people to help us.
Absolutely. And as we look at setting up committees for our specific event, may not fall into what shows on the outline for those watching this. But typically committees can be 3 committees, they could be 8 committees. It just depends on your event and how you feel most comfortable breaking down those responsibilities to getting the stuff done in the time that you've got. Some of the examples that we've put on the agenda are a decorations committee, if you're going to have an event where there's decorations involved, invitations, refreshments, entertainment, our technology, because here we are zooming it up and we wouldn't know what to do without our technology. So all those are very important parts of committees. So some committees that we might need for our Sharing the Love event.
I think we would need a decoration committee for sure.
Okay.
And we would need a programs committee. So someone that's going to decide what we're going to present, how we're going to present this program. And then we probably would need like an invitation committee. As we talked about earlier, are we going to invite adults? Are we not? How's that going to work? That kind of, they could help us plan that.
And I think each committee is going to have the opportunity for a leader to be of that committee. Absolutely. So you're really going to have a lot of your club members that rise up to the occasion. And that's a great thing to give them that ownership for those individual committees.
Absolutely. Because they often say people support what they create. And by giving them this ownership and letting them create this, they will support it. And this is going to be a fun thing to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We've got our committee set. What is next? Oh, Carol, the dreaded budget.
This is my least favorite part of anything in life is budget. Yuck. Oh, but do you know, Jenny, that it doesn't always take a lot of money to have something really neat? Did you know that?
I did know that, Carol. I've been at camp a lot of years. I am seasoned just like you. But for those watching this video that may have never been to camp, let's share some ideas of things that we do at camp that shows resourcefulness on low budget. I think with our theme that we've got with them donating the canned food items, non-perishables, that's not an expense on us. That's just getting the word out to be able to collect that to benefit our community. So there's really no money in that. Virtual invitations.
Oh, that's smart. That wouldn't
Yeah.
cost any money. Yeah. You make all
Yeah.
kinds of neat things too and send them out that way. That's a good idea.
What's something else in a technology world that we could utilize to help reduce a budget?
You could ask the school's technology team what they have, if they have a projector of some sort that they can use, what kind of projector materials, programs do they have that you can already use that are already in place. And then I'm thinking about decorations. I'm thinking about just because something's sold for one purpose doesn't mean it has to be used for that purpose. Just because a cup is not just for drinking out of, a cup could be used as a decoration. If we're going to do this after Valentine's Day, there's going to be a lot of stuff on sale, right? If you go to Party America, you're going to find all kinds of stuff that's on sale that you can use that for your decorations.
That's a great idea too. I'm also thinking, as you know, you're talking about the program and having someone organize something for that. We could get in contact with the food bank or food banks that we're going to donate to. And most likely they already have some sort of literature or YouTube video that explains that we could incorporate into our program, that wouldn't cost us anything because they've probably already got it in place.
That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. And the program committee could also maybe utilize the school's band or the school's pep assembly. I mean, something, people that want to perform and that are good at it. And I'm sure there's a lot of K members that would also be part of those groups too. And so they could take the lead in presenting that or including that as part of our program.
So Carol, we talked about food earlier. Don't you think if we added into our budget or even got volunteers for providing some sort of refreshments, we might get more attendance? Because everybody loves food, right?
I do agree with that. That is so true. And it's not hard to make some cookies or to make punch, and that's a good idea. And that's a way to keep your budget down, is asking people to volunteer and to donate. That's a good idea.
Absolutely. All right, so we've talked about our budget and ideas that we can utilize to reduce that, as to not put a financial strain on the individual clubs. Timeline, we've discussed that already. I don't know that we need to revisit that.
Just as important to know that if people will often wait till the very end of the deadline. So make sure that whenever you as a K member are setting your deadlines, that you're leaving yourself enough time for people to quote unquote be late and still not be behind, in your planning. So that's something, as a good organizer and as a good leader that you guys are all, it's something to remember when you set deadlines.
That's a good idea. And as we talk about technology, at the schools, even if it's just your club's bulletin board to put reminders on, or if there's a group chat where information is posted about the clubs. This is the time and opportunity to flood members, officers on down, with all that information pertinent to the event. That way everybody keeps in constant communication of the steps.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
All right, next is any other areas that might need attention. The first thing that comes up in my mind, Carol, is the cleanup committee.
That's too funny, because that's exactly what I was sitting here thinking. I was like, oh gosh, gotta make sure someone cleans up.
Both of us are mothers, and we understand the concept of cleaning up and taking responsibility and instilling that in those attending the event as well. If you have refreshments like we discussed, make sure that there's visible trash cans, so that, you know, if they feel comfortable moving around within the social distancing guidelines, you know, for them to throw away their plate or their napkin or whatever it might be, because that helps in the overall cleanup, because we are responsible citizens, and one of those is to take care of the environment that we're in.
That could be one of the committees that we could have at the very beginning. We could have someone assigned to making sure that that gets taken care of, so that doesn't get forgotten, and know that that committee, people who are cleaning up, are just as important as those who are doing the program or anything else. So that would be a great time to make sure that that gets taken care of.
Absolutely. And it's something that, you know, I didn't think about when we were talking about committees before, and there's nothing wrong with that. As the clubs communicate about their event, something comes up in the planning process and a committee is created on the fly, so to speak.
Yeah. KY members are awesome, awesomely equipped and willing to do those things. And so that is one of the many reasons I love KY.
Absolutely, I have to agree with you. All right, Carol, evaluation matters. Tell us about the value that you see in an evaluation process.
In an evaluation, no one project is just a one and done. It'll always lead to filing away in that filing cabinet in your mind about how things worked this time when I did a project. And when I get to be involved in a project again, when I go to college and I'm part of my sorority or my fraternity, and I get to do all that stuff, I'm going to learn from this experience. And so an evaluation, and I'm not the only one that feels that way, Jimmy, I'm sure you would, and as all of the members would have all learned different things, just as it does, we can't do it all. It takes lots of people to do it. Then lots of people have different inputs and what it takes about what they have learned and what they have seen and how they think it could be better next time. And so that's why evaluation is so critically important. It's just as important as planning an event is evaluating an event.
Very good. And I'm going to share a sample evaluation so that it'll give them an idea of what one looks like. It doesn't need to be anything fancy or detailed. So here is a sample from camp, Carol. Look, it's the evening session creative period evaluation.
I say that looks very familiar, Jenny.
So this kind of gives a starting point for them, wouldn't you say?
I agree. And for the evening and final general session, we have two groups. We have a program group and a decoration group. And so that's why we think of both those groups when we make those decisions. As your program and if it has more groups than just two, you can divide it into as many groups as you want or put them all together. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think these questions are a good starting point. Are they the only questions you need on an evaluation? Not necessarily, but for that event, there might be something specific for one of your committees that they could even add on at the bottom as a question and other items not already listed.
I agree. I agree.
All right, so we've talked about the evaluation. Look, Carol, it's us again.
Yay.
All right, any final thoughts of anything that we've discussed tonight before we sign off?
I just want to tell everyone that I'm very proud of you, that you're in part of KUI, and that you guys can make any program awesome, big, small, anything. And please know that Jenny and I are both here to help you. And Jenny's done such a great job and put our contact information. And we would love to hear from you if you have any questions. And like I said, very proud of you.
Absolutely. And I check my junk email folder daily because I've missed a few planning emails for virtual camp because they go to my junk email. So I will be sure to keep that going through these presentation timelines, which I think run through the end of August. So you can watch this numerous times and get the full value of what we've discussed tonight. So with nothing more, I think it is time we could sign off, Carol.
Yes, yes. Jenny, thank you for all of your work, and good luck, guys. We appreciate you being here with us to hear what we have to say.
Thank you too, Carol.